What up? Hey, what up? What up? Hey, what up? What up? Hey, what up? Hey, what up?
What up, though, YouTube? Welcome to Lukegsfieldreview. We are back at it this time, breaking some more of the Bob Quinn code. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Bob Quinn is a mind freak, and you're gonna see why real soon. So he's doing an interview with RAPOPORT on RAPOPORT's podcast, The Rap Sheet and Friends. And he's going to drop some nuggets that I think you guys will appreciate. And we're going to get through all of it real quick. So the first part starts off with Mr. RAPOPORT asking Mr. Bob Quinn about what he learned from this season. Let's get it, people.
We've gone through free agency. I know, roster building and team building is literally a 365-day thing. But we are heading toward the draft now, and obviously there's been a lot of reflection time from last year. As you kind of look forward, what's the most important thing you learned about your team last year that you take kind of into this year?
Last year we didn't have the season we wanted. So I think it was one thing that we could never get consistent. We actually never won back-to-back games, which was really interesting part of our season. When you look back and you go back in January, you look at the season, you're like, wow, we couldn't put it together 2 weeks in a row.
So I'm going to stop it right there, because too often I think Lions fans spend so much time acting as if though the Lions don't care. Mr. Bob Quinn is letting you know right there that he's aware of the shortcomings when he says we didn't put it together to win back-to-back wins. And then he's going to talk a little bit more in terms of saying that, the good teams are able to do it consistently, and that's where we're going for and what we're building towards. But I'll let him tell you.
Which this league's hard and everybody's good. But the better teams and more consistent teams do it back-to-back weeks. So trying to get the guys, and I think Coach Patricia and his staff do a great job of it, just try to get them to believe that every game is a one-game season. And, even if you have the highest of highs and you have a really good win on a Sunday, you got to kind of erase that from your memory and kind of go forward to the next opponent. So
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop it there, because when he says even if you're having the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, you got to kind of erase that from your memory and go on to the next opponent. I wish Lion fans would take a page out of Mr. Bob Quinn's book. I really do. And I wish they'll stop being so focused on the past and look to the future. But this ain't what this video is about. This video is about us breaking down Bob Quinn. And we're going to let him get into it, because the next question that comes up is going to be one I think you enjoy, because he's going to talk about the draft.
something I know we're going to strive for this year, and hopefully we get more players that can help us win and can really compete for the NFC North.
Now, the thing I want to point out there is, and I've said this many times before, that the first thing that the Lions should be concerned with is winning the division. Everything else don't matter. It simply boils down to, are you trying to win the division? And he's made it very clear that that's their target. Because for those people who are saying, can we win a playoff game? Well, you can if you win the division, because you might get a home game. But let him talk. Let's get into this draft.
Now, it's draft season. I know a lot of guys are leaving here in Arizona to go to different pro days and, individual workouts and all that stuff. In the NFL calendar, where does the draft rank for you? I mean, I get the sense you like it. Like, I love it. It's literally my favorite thing we do. Are you there? I mean, is it?
Yeah,
I get the sense you love it.
Yeah, it's the best way to really build your roster the right way.
You don't say.
Because you get young players, you can develop them. Obviously, there's a cost control portion of it.
Right.
For 4 years or sometimes 5.
I'm gonna stop it right there. Notice he said there's a cost control portion of it that you have to pay attention to. And y'all wonder why I say follow the money, huh? The general manager is giving you the tidbits. You just don't want to follow it. He's telling you follow the money. Sometimes I have to make a decision based on the money I have. Like when you want to go and buy a Ferrari, but you really only got a Yugo's money. Or like you really want to buy Cristal, but you know that you really only got like Hennessy cash. That's what he's talking about.
5 years. So that's really the lifeline of your organization is the draft. So yeah, obviously I love it. It's the best time of year. It's the busiest time of year, really. Starting with a couple weeks before free agency through the draft is probably the busiest time. The season's really busy, but in kind of in a different way for me. So yeah, we got about a month out, so we feel like we're in a really good spot. Got a couple more pro days to hit, and then some individual workouts and our 30 visits, and we'll be ready.
I look forward to trying to track down those 30 visits. I know they're always information easy to come by.
Yeah, good luck. We put some misinformation out there.
Did Mr. Bob Quinn say good luck with that? Because, yeah, we put some misinformation out there. What my man 313 J-Bo say? Let that chef cook. People, I have told you repeatedly that there are a lot of smoke screens. When you see them doing things like meeting with people like Kyler Murray and Josh Allen, it's to try to get people to think that they're going to trade up. They're not trading up. And then you may wonder, well, Luke, why do you think they're not going to trade up? Because he's going to tell you why he's not going to trade up. And we're going to get into it. But just keep in mind that a lot of the information that you see right now is going to be very obvious and open to what's going on here. I just simply follow the patterns.
Actually, I don't hate the misinformation. I mean, I don't love the sort of non-truths of the draft, but like, I was telling Cliff Kingsbury the other night, like they could literally announce who they're taking at number 1, and nobody would believe them. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
They could say
a game of poker.
Yeah. It's
a game of poker.
You guys pick 8, right?
Yeah, 8.
That is, you have not picked that highly in a while.
Correct.
Do you have a sense for what you want to do, whether you would go up, whether you would move back? It's obviously early. Do you like the players you think are going to be there? Kind of where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I think there's a number of players that I think I would like at that spot at this stage when we're about a month out. So the board isn't totally finalized yet, but I think, it is a little different for me this year because I think the highest I've picked since I've been in Detroit is 16.
Ooh, that man shady. Oh, he's some shade right there. Pull them sunglasses and umbrellas out, ladies and gentlemen. That was a message to the fans, okay? What did he say? This is the lowest I've picked since I've been here. And before that, it was 16. Say what, Bob Quinn? Oh, talk to the people. They don't want to believe facts as facts. They want to say facts as fiction. But they trying their best to understand what's going on. And all Bob Quinn is saying is this. This is not a norm for me, and it will not be a norm for me, so don't get used to it. And then if you pay attention to what he said a few minutes before that, he said, yeah, there are a few players I like there. Yeah, a few, because there's not too many people you can take at 8 that's going to come in, have an immediate impact, and still meet his criteria of high football IQ, passionate, competitive, versatile players. There's not many players that's coming in like that. That's how I'm able to narrow it down to the tight end TJ Hockenson. But I'm gonna let this man talk about it.
I always like draft picks. So if we can move back a little bit, a couple spots, and pick up another pick, I think this is a really good. The depth of this draft. There's really from the late first to the third, there's a lot of really good players in there. So if I could ever move back a few spots, get a really good player in the first round, and add another pick, I think that's something that'd be great. So. People out there listening, I'm open for business.
So let me get this straight, people. Media are going to come out, and I guarantee you're going to see it somewhere where they're going to try to claim that they could be trying to trade up and blah, 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 blah. They're not doing it, okay? And I told you earlier that they're not doing it because he said it himself. He would rather have more picks. And you may be wondering, well, Luke, how you know that's not a smoke screen? Well, that's simple. Because when I go through and I look at the whole process of what he said and what his history has been, he does not trade up, okay? Especially not in the first round. He either sits there or trade back. That's what he do. Now, he traded up in the second round to get Kerryon Johnson, but that's because he thought Kerryon wouldn't make it to their pick. I get it. But at the end of the day, he's not trading up in the first. Certainly not from 8 to a higher pick, which is going to come with what? That cost. Oh, if you just follow the money, you'll get a lot of answers, people. Let's let the man talk.
As you always are. So this is one where the depth, the mid-round depth is really good.
Yeah, I think so. Especially at some of the positions we're kind of honing in on. I think there's multiple guys.
Which positions are those?
I'm going to pass on that question. But good try, though. You tried to slip that one in there.
Did you see that pimp game come out, people? And RAPOPORT tried to slide one up in there. He said, yeah, you tried it, though, homie. Yeah, try again. You tried to slide that question up in there. He paying attention, people. He focused. Y'all got to get focused. But if your focus is always on the past, you might miss what's happening right now and what's going to happen in the future.
It's early.
Casual. I figure it's 8 o'clock. You maybe haven't shaken it off from last night. Yeah, that's good.
So I'm gonna skip it ahead a little bit because the next question he's gonna ask him is gonna be about the scouting stories, like what did they do in terms of the scouting. But I'm gonna go ahead and skip it ahead because right here they're gonna talk about the available players, and he's gonna talk about his process of how he's able to pick up certain players based on certain things, and he's gonna talk about the databases. But I'm gonna let him talk about it.
Oh, and here's what I liked.
Yeah, well, that's what you do. I mean, you see when a guy gets released. One this year was it was more recent, but Romeo Crable.
Yeah.
So luckily
that was a hit.
Yeah, we hit on. We think we did. I mean, we had a good year. We practiced against the Giants during this training camp, so we had really good evaluation of him because the Giants were moving to a 3-4 defense, and they were asking him to stand up and kind of play on the line of scrimmage as an outside linebacker. And we really thought he was a defensive end.
You see, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about right here. When I hear people say stuff like, "Oh, they got to get rid of Bob Quinn," "Oh, the Lions, SOL, same old Lions." Yeah, here's the thing: good general managers do things like what he's talking about right now. They do things like scout other players who are out of position on other teams. You don't believe me? Go and ask New England how they knew that bringing in Kyle Van Noy will work. Maybe because he was out of position in the first place here in Detroit. When he should have been a 4-3 DN, they made him a 4-3 outside linebacker. And like most people as a 4-3 outside linebacker who are not familiar with that scheme, he got exposed. He looked good in the New England uniform though, don't he? And then on top of that, let's talk about this part of it. Every time, and this is another way for y'all to keep track of what's going on, every time the Lions have a joint practice, pay attention. Start going through and try to figure out who they're going to release off those teams, because the Lions is probably looking at them. Okay? And they probably know who's going to get released. Just food for thought.
Pass rush guy. And, just going back a couple months, or not even a month, a couple weeks when he got released, it was an easy evaluation like, hey, remember him in practice?
Yeah, we've seen this.
We've seen this. Let's go back and really just watch it one more time real quick. But there's other ones that are years. And you go back and, I've been in Detroit now. This is my 4th draft coming up. So you obviously have our database of scouting reports, but some of my stuff isn't in the database because it was from,
right.
2014 when I was in New England. So there's a lot of files you have to dig through and try to find your notes on those guys.
Interesting. All right, I'll let you go because I know you got other stuff to do. One thing I did want to mention, you mentioned Dreamland. So when I...
Yeah, see, I wanted to make this video short and quick, and I know it's going to be sweet. So let me get to the point here, ladies and gentlemen. I said months ago that they was going to trade that pick. I then turned around and told you months ago that if they don't trade the pick, that the pick is going to be T.J. Hockenson. Every media outlet went out and said how crazy this was. Every popular radio show came out and said how crazy this was. I had my box loaded with emails and multiple comments saying how crazy I am. I even met a very good man named 313JMO for simply saying that the Lions are going to select a tight end at 8 if they stuck there. Okay? Here's where these facts come into play, people. If you just follow the money, if you just pay attention to what is said consistently across the board, you will be able to come to some of these conclusions in the reality of what is and what is not. Now, have there been some things I've been wrong about? Absolutely. I certainly didn't think that they would go out and get Trey Flowers just because it was going to cost $18 million. So yeah, technically I was wrong that they wouldn't go out and get him, but it did cost them $18 million. Where I was unaware was that they would have him play this year under $6 million. Right? And I'm saying it to say this. When I do this, I put in a lot of effort to make sure that I can give you factual-based information based on the information that I get. And that information that I get, I have to surf through it to kind of figure out what's been said consistently across the board. And then I have to go and look at that compared to the history of it. So what I'm doing is I'm literally telling you how I get my information because I'm about sharing. And sharing is caring. We have a good general manager, people. Even if the Lions have a terrible season and they decide to move on from Matt Patricia, I am convinced that we cannot move on from Bob Quinn. Now, I know some of y'all are going to disagree with that because you're going to say, well, he's been here 4 seasons. But when you're building a masterpiece, it's just like a cake. You got to put in the right amount of eggs, the right amount of flour, okay? The right amount of sugar. You put in too much vanilla extract, it gets soft, it gets soggy. What I am trying to do, people, is get you to understand that the one thing that makes good teams good is consistency. And then it brings me to my next point. if we get rid of Bob Quinn, who are we bringing in that has had this level of consistency? Go and look at his drafts and tell me how many of those players have panned out and are on the field playing and contributing. And then go and look in the past and tell me, do you want much of the same? I personally would take the latter. But for right now, I'll settle for Bob Quinn. So that's it for now, ladies and gentlemen. As always, please don't be no chump. Please do your research.